Panettone, also known as Christmas bread, also known as a luxury bread, also known as a bread that can afford butter over margarine. What makes panettone panettone is this. A sad old wrinkled piece of dough that's been living in my fridge for months. They call it lievito madre, also known as a mother of starters, also known as a starter of mothers, also known as a sourdough starter with 2 to 1 flour to water ratio. Yes, that smells exactly like something that shouldn't be alive anymore. To succeed with panettone, your starter needs to be active, otherwise it won't be active. The first full day is spent feeding it. Start with 9 grams of water, 20 grams of starter and 20 grams flour. Mix it with anything except your hand, then optionally put on a glow and knead it by hand anyway. I use a glow because, like any other child, this one has attachment issues and won't let go easily. Hydration of this dough is very low, just like my self-esteem, so incorporating the flour will be annoying, but constant dropping wears away a stone. Roll it into a roll and cut a cross on top. Honestly, I don't know why this is required. I saw it online and assumed it was mandatory. Probably because dough is like people. Once you cut it open, it resists less. Let it ferment for 3 hours at 27 degrees or until doubled or tripled. Just turn the oven light on and you'll get a poor man's proofing chamber. Next, take lukewarm water about 37 degrees and dissolve a bit of sugar. At this point I should already realize that Madre wasn't ready, but I was young, naive, and driven by hope. Weigh out 40 grams of starter and let it soak in sugar water for 30 minutes. We do this because, just like people, when something is too acidic and toxic, it needs a sweet bath. Squeeze it out and wait again. I gained 2 grams of water, so I subtract that from the recipe water later. Yes, this matters. And no, I don't enjoy it. Here I added 40 grams of flour and 15 grams of water. Mix, then knead the dough. As a good father would spend time with his child, you should also spend some quality time with your lievito. Play around and show that you really care. Or don't. Again, roll, cut, ferment again. Repeat the same thing for the third time. Nothing new, same suffering. To make kneading easier, I used a rolling pin to laminate and fold. Is it better? I don't know. Does it help? I don't know. Does it look professional? Possibly. What a beautiful dough. Anyway, cut it open and let it ferment. After fermentation, test maturity by dropping a small piece into water. Supposedly, if it floats, it's ready to survive adulthood and pay taxes. Unfortunately, mine drowned, just like my dreams. So I let it ferment for another hour and try it again. My prayers were heard, by whom I don't know, but clearly someone was bored enough to listen. It didn't swim confidently, more like a tired dog, but it didn't sink either, which meant there was at least some air inside and it was fermented enough for panettone. Or so I told myself. For the first dough, add sugary sugar, watery water, and flourly flour. Attach the pirate arm and mix to combine. Then add the starter and egg yolks. Yes, yolks look weird, they were frozen. And if you wonder why, don't. And now add butter piece by piece. If you think that bowl cleaned itself, it did not. You have to do it manually. Once all the butter is incorporated and the dough is well mixed, take it out, put it on the counter and do the slap and folds. Or some slap, 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 fold, fold, fold. I think you've got the point. No? Then shape it into a nice and pretty ball of dough and ferment for about 12 hours. Time depends on the starter activity. You need to feel it with your heart or anxiety. Next day, zest an orange using a metal tool with sharp holes, then squeeze the juice out of it like it owes you money. Meanwhile, the first dough looks promising. Our offspring is showing early signs of development and desperately trying to prove it's not a complete failure. You can almost sense its rich inner world, full of potential, character, and unrealistic expectations. Back into the mixer. Add orange juice and flour and mix. Keep the dough temperature below 27 degrees or it will start a fight and leave home. Add egg yolks in batches, sugar, then add salt, honey, orange zest, and start incorporating butter. Again, one piece at a time. Meanwhile, prepare the raisins. Dry raisins will steal moisture, which is bad. Wet raisins will add moisture, also bad. But soaking them, pat drying, and coating lightly in flour, acceptable. The dough should be ready by this time. Kneading time should not exceed 456 minutes, and you can see that window pane test passed, which means you can technically use this as a glass or something. I'm not sure what they meant by that. Put it on the counter and let's look at the gluten structure one more time, for those who missed it the first time or simply enjoy watching dough suffer. Stretch the dough, add raisins, and do the slap and fold again. By this point your slap and fold muscles should already be trained, so this part should feel less like a work and more like routine violence. Some raisins will escape, but you know how they say, if it's yours, it will come back. If it's not, then it never was. Tuck the dough and let it rest for an hour. Then cut it. Divide it into 3 equal pieces and pre-shape using slap and fold technique, obviously. Rest 30 minutes so they can reflect on their behavior. Once the time is out, rub your hands with the lube and do the following. Gently fold each piece of dough under itself, rotating it in circular motion until it tightens up. Give it a small pat of approval, just like a loving parent who still has unresolved issues, and place it into the mold. Repeat with the others. No favorites. Therapy is expensive. Ferment for about 6 hours. And here again, the time might vary depending on your starter activity. Then remember you forgot the skewers. At the meantime, make almond icing, which is egg whites, sugar, almond flour, and cornstarch combined together. The temperature in the oven is around 26 degrees, which is exactly what we need for proofing and exactly what we don't need for baking. Take them out before preheating the oven and have one last look. This is the calm moment before everything becomes irreversible. Spread the almond icing on top, sprinkle with almonds or sugar pearls and send them into adulthood. An oven preheated to 170 degrees for about 45 minutes. After baking, insert the forgotten skewers and hang upside down overnight for a gravity therapy. Not gonna lie, they turned out beautiful on the outside. Inside, on the other hand, well, let's just say appearances remain deceptive. And you might say, but Peter, that's not even a panettone, it looks like a cake. And I'll say, who told you what panettone is supposed to look like? And my name's not Peter. They weren't ready for this fight. They weren't mature enough, and I pushed them into the world anyway. So here's the lesson, don't rush fermentation and make sure your starter is actually ripe. As for me, I love my panettone not for what they could have been, but for what they are.